welcome back. So we have new accessories. I'm with Wangari Maathai, it's actually my namesake. I love it. And she has hot comb.
I don't know what that is.
She's never used one. And it was hard to explain, so I'll explain to her like nicely how it was being put, on charcoal. Our hairline has survived.
You're being dramatic.
Okay, fine. Maybe I am. So you were saying what do you think the solutions are?
So yeah, I think the biggest and the number one answer we should have is like having open talks about mental health and stop this stigma of it being like every time someone mentions mental health, it's like, oh, she's crazy or like she has problems. It's like, it's not always negative. Just have open talks with it. And I think we're doing that because in school, which is Strathmore, we have a mental health club. And they have,
We didn't have that.
you do have,
No.
I'm sorry, you can join ours.
I don't even think, anyway, go ahead.
So like every week they have like a Zoom call and get to sit down and talk about it. Like, how was your week? How are you feeling?
Great.
And they also have a podcast, which is like the best. It
Yeah.
feels like you're right there.
Yeah.
And even when I was doing the interview for joining it,
Mm-hmm.
it felt, it didn't even feel like an interview. It felt like I was talking to someone.
Or like therapy.
Yeah, they're just
Okay.
like asking me questions about me, things that we don't ask each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something like, so how do you feel about something like this? How do you feel when someone says that, oh, I have anxiety, stuff
Yeah,
like that?
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, what is anxiety?
Right,
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I know you and I have both had therapy for
Yeah.
different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And I know it helped me because, okay, being the kind of person who has to accomplish, I think when I just wasn't sure how I was going to even go through a day, and I wasn't sure how, and also it just crumbled on me like a wall of bricks. And the things that I'm normally confident in, like I train a lot for work, I just didn't know how I would wake up in the morning and do that, and it was, and I guess that's what anxiety is.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I didn't realize I'd experienced it. So I just couldn't, waking up in the morning, I'm like, oh my God, I have a presentation. I make presentations before people all the time. But at the beginning of this year, I just, I was going through this season and I just couldn't do it. So a very good friend of mine recommended therapy for me, and I've actually never called her to thank her because it helped me just to know it was okay not to be okay. Because I remember my therapist telling me, you're going to have a day when you can't even go through that day. And when the triggers happen, just wrap yourself up and actually take your stuff and go home.
Yeah.
And I would do that. So how is that? Because I think from my experience it's a solution, but how has that helped you? Do you think it's a solution anyway?
Therapy.
Yeah.
I think it's for most people.
Yeah.
But the problem comes when like you're just not that person who can sit down and talk to someone about your problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think also because I know there is a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and they have they're different.
Yeah, they're like.
Yeah, two different kinds of doctors, and but I think that's also a solution.
Yeah.
But there are so very few in this country, to be very honest. And even when it came to knowing a therapist, I had to look for one. So I guess what we're kind of saying is we've had our own experiences, right?
Yeah.
On this mental health journey, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like mental health is with you, and from the day you are born to the day you pass away, the day you transition, so to speak,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, let's have conversations. Let's ask for help, as you said.
Yeah.
There's someone next to you who loves you and cares about you.
Yeah, it's so true.
Right? So find someone you can talk to. And let's let's break down the barriers that we build around ourselves. Because one thing I'm realizing in this conversation is it's like the stigma exists from the fear.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid that I'll have depression that I don't want to talk about it, and you, because you have it, I'm like, I don't know how to deal with you.
Yeah.
And so I perpetuate the stigma. So let's be willing to unlearn.
Mm-hmm.
I've done quite a bit of unlearning and relearning, and let's support each other. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There are days I just wanted a hug,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's a way as well.
Yeah. And
Anything else?
I think a final thing is that we should be open to getting help, because the whole like mental health thing is like, even though it's a bubble, it's a comfortable bubble at some point. It feels like a shawl, and taking off that shawl is so difficult. Like, you're not willing to get help because you don't know what's outside that. So
Yeah.
once we start to get comfortable with moving on and actually healing,
Yeah.
it's going to change a lot for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, sis, you dropped some major knowledge there.
Period.
Some
Period. Period.
So you know what you just reminded me? There's this book I'm reading, and maybe we can close with that. It's called The Courage to be Disliked. I bought it because on the cover it has this incomplete circle. It's called an enso circle. I love Japanese culture. I think they're so wholesome. Someone who can get me to Japan, we are going to be grateful. But the reason I got it was because of that. Because it's the enso circle, according to what I remember, represents balance between what's within you and what's outside. So there are these artists that do Japanese kanji, and then it's like, because it's a spiritual art form, and so the spiritual nature of the artist is measured by the way he does the enso circle.
Okay.
So it's like this big paintbrush, he stands in the middle, and it's like at the end of it, it's like you're whole, perfect and complete. And that's what the enso circle represents.
Okay.
And the irony about the enso circle is that it's an incomplete circle, and no two enso circles look the same, because it's about how the brushes of the paint go. Anyway, that's why I bought the book. But in that book, the philosopher says it's a conversation between a philosopher and a young man.
Yeah.
And the philosopher, they get to this point where they're talking about courage and confidence, and he says, he talks about the serenity prayer, grant me the courage to accept the things I cannot change. No, the first one is grant me the something, and the courage to change the things I can. I forgot it, but I think it's
we can just say accept the things that I can't change.
it's there at home actually. We should not forget. Mom has it. But when it talks about granting me the courage to accept the things I can't, and he reflects on the word courage, and I thought about comfort.
Yeah.
Right. So, and somehow it hit me, like me getting up in the morning to work out takes courage.
Yeah.
My bed is warm, man. I'm not trying to get up at 6:30 in the morning and just. I love when
I know.
It's painful, So it hit me that everything that is comfortable, whenever you're stepping outside your comfort circle, it takes courage.